Okay, so before this video begins, I need to confess something to you guys. I don't like the G3A3 or the FAL.
You what?
But before you grab your pitchforks and hunt me down, I do think they're okay.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
They're not bad by any means, and they have major sex appeal going for them, not to mention notoriety. They hold a special place in people's hearts throughout the gaming world and are both iconic weapons in FPS games and in real life. So let's sit down and talk about these weapons and decide if their popularity is justified. Like I just said before, I'm not a huge fan of these guns. Even after having multiple really good games of Frontline using the both of them the other day, I'm still not sold on either of them. Maybe it's the small 20 round mags, maybe it's the FAL's absurd horizontal recoil, or maybe it's the G3A3's incredibly slow fire rate. Either way, this is honestly the first and last time I'll be using these guns. But I'm not here to talk badly about them. They're very solid weapons that can suit many different playstyles, but I just personally think they're overrated, and hopefully I can explain to you why I think that. The one thing I can give these guns is that they have good damage. Their one-shot range is pretty juicy, which is probably why I see most people using these guns as a budget DMR. We'll touch on that later. But I don't really like using these guns like that, because even though they one-shot someone with no armor at about 40 meters, light and heavy armor soak up a lot of damage, drastically reducing the round's effectiveness. So if you run into some random weenie that's wearing heavy armor, you won't be able to one-shot them at all. Which isn't really a huge deal. Being able to one-shot someone isn't necessarily the selling point of a gun, unless it's a DMR or sniper of course. But if I'm going to spend 4 to 5 points on a mediocre 7.62 gun, I would just personally like to have a more consistent one-shot probability. But in saying that, most guns chambered in 7.62 by 5.1 NATO tend to have the same effectiveness against armor, so the armor is doing its job there, I think. Let's go onto that roof there with an MG. I just killed him. Get fucked, you dickhead.
Jesus Christ.
Moving on to penetration, wood and metal were both 2 shots and concrete was about 3 to 4 shots. And I actually wanted to test stone as well, which came to 6 shots. These stone walls aren't really that common, so I haven't been including them in every video. Most guns I've covered so far haven't been able to get through them anyway, but if you want me to include the stone from now on, just let me know. What the fuck? I think the main problem with the FAL is its price, recoil, and low magazine capacity. NWI even removed the ability to add an extended mag to it. For what reason, you may ask? I have no idea. Maybe it was dominating the meta at some stage, I don't know. But what I find weird is that the FAL is the same price as the SVD. The SVD is arguably one of the most broken guns in the game, and I don't think the FAL holds up to it at all. The SVD obviously dominates the FAL at range, and you could still win against it in a 1v1 CQB fight if you have precise aim and a nice trigger finger. Killed 3. Killed 4.
Killed 9.
Get on, get on. Fucking what? Hello, sir. What are you doing? You see that? Even the Ace 52 for the Advisor class is a better choice in my opinion. The Ace and the FAL have nearly identical stats, but I would prefer to take the Ace 52 seeing as it has much lower horizontal recoil. Plus you have the option to put a suppressor and extended mag on it, which is a huge selling point. But for the sake of a fair comparison, let's stay within the Rifleman class and see what guns I would prefer to take. Looking at this list, there are 3 guns that stand out to me the most. The M16A2, the QBZ03, and the FAMAS. If you recall earlier, I said that a lot of people tend to use the FAL as a quote-unquote budget DMR. But if you were going that route, I would recommend the M16 instead. Both M16s are incredibly overlooked by most newer players. I completely ignored them when I first started playing because I noticed it had no full auto and I had the mentality of cheap gun equals bad gun. But the M16s are some of the best guns in the game. The insane velocity and incredibly low recoil make it the perfect budget DMR. You're gonna drop people in 2 shots most of the time, and the gun is so cheap you can deck it out with all the bells and whistles and still have money to spend on grenades. I'm not going to say too much about the M16s because I love these guns so much and I want to talk about them in their own video. Yeah, Smoker's pretty bugged. How did I win that fight? That shouldn't have happened. For 1 point less, you could get the QBZ-03, which is a laser beam. It has a higher fire rate, muzzle velocity, and it's much lighter, making it a great gun for CQB and longer engagements. I can't wait to do a video on this gun as well because I just think it looks cool. And lastly, the absolute powerhouse of a gun, the FAMAS. For 1 extra point, I can absolutely recommend the FAMAS. Due to its insane fire rate and high velocity, the DPS on this thing is extremely fast. It's almost instant. People just straight up evaporate if you can control it. You can't win against this thing in a CQB fight, and once you practice its recoil, you can drop people from across the map with it. I would literally rather take anything else over the G3A3. Yes, even the QTS-11. As funky as that gun is, it's actually really good. I think I just got that guy from like way over there. I've already explained how I feel about the M16s, so I won't repeat myself here. The AUG is meta as hell, such a good gun with its only drawback being its low fire rate. The G36K is one of my personal favorites. It's light, it's short, it has a decent fire rate, and if you're a psychopath, it has this unique scope which makes me want to vomit. We all know how insanely good the M4 is, and the VHS is basically just an M4 with a higher fire rate. I just can't justify spending 4 points on the G3A3 when it falls so short in 2 areas. Just like the FAL, it hasn't got the option to equip an extender mag, and its fire rate will most likely make you lose most CQB fights, especially if someone is wearing even light armour. Right, so what attachments do I recommend for each gun? Well, for the FAL, I'd recommend an optic of your choice, obviously. I'd personally go with a 1x to 2x Cobra or OKP7 because the 2x magnification is perfectly fine for most situations. Slap on a flash hider and you're ready to go. I don't ever suggest spending points on a compensator or recoil grip because, well, I've explained that before, but the FAL does have some pretty gnarly horizontal recoil, so if you're struggling to handle it, then use the compensator as a last resort or maybe even switch to single fire. The FAL is an already super expensive gun, so a grip is up to you. As for the G3A3, it's pretty much the same as the FAL, but I think I'd be more inclined to use the G3 as a budget DMR, seeing as its slow fire rate will let you down in CQB. So if you're going that route, I'd recommend a 4x scope of your choice, loading grip, and a flash hider. So let's answer the question, shall we? Should you use the G3A3 and the FAL? Yes, of course. As much as I don't like these guns, I can't sit here and say that they're bad. They're perfectly fine guns to use, I just don't think they're worth the points. What the hell, dude? I'm actually completely out of ammo. I just need to die here. Does he not see me? Oh, of course this guy's out of ammo too. How am I alive? Seriously, how am I alive for this long?